And you know, and so I just learned to write. So over there, you start learning to write. You know, you start proper school at 7, 8. But by 10, I was 9, so I could just write. And I wrote down, and I remember where I was sitting, and I wrote down, we are going on holidays.
Oh,
Are you ready for this?
Wow.
My dad took the paper, got his lighter,
Yeah.
blew it up in front of my face, and he said, "You will never, ever write that down, ever, and you will never speak of this again."
Wow.
Like, that's pretty hard at 9.
That's very hard at 9.
Like, that's like, oof.
Yeah.
And that fear that you live with, because you are worried that your parents will be taken away, because your parents are telling you something's wrong, you know, like, you know, like, it's how we do it out there, but this is how we do it here. Like, we had the privilege of having bananas and oranges, but other kids didn't, so I couldn't take it to school. Because you know, everybody has the same amount, you know, everybody is, you know, we are so getting along because we all have equal amounts. You see how beautiful that is? How beautiful is that? No one's going hungry, and if you work hard, it doesn't matter, because you're going to get the same pay, right? And if you don't work hard, guess what? You can get the same pay as this dude who did work hard, so no one works.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's shortages. We
Yeah,
had
and
had no food.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lined up for bread, but you got toilet paper, or you got flour, because that was what was available, because there's one supermarket. Or, you know, that's the sort of restriction.
And it's not so much like that hard work. And nobody has the capacity for joy and creativity either in their own right.
That's not meant to
be. So to me, because we can often get into this thing, it's got to be equal, and it's everybody could be the same, you know, that's
brother's keeper.
Yeah, and then it'll be fair, right? But and then we get into who's working harder. But it's also, if we were coming from, I suppose that was and you might call me really idealistic, that I had these ideas that my children, if from birth, and we have a lot of people in our parenting group that, you know, they follow the attachment style parenting, they follow gentle parenting. So from birth, the child's needs are being met, the child is feeling like someone's in their corner around who they are as a human being, who they are as an individual. And I certainly, this is why we run this group, I certainly did not get this right. You know, I often was full of my own triggers, and I had to go to school, so you will do this, and I had all sorts of, we call it de-schooling ourselves, because there's just so many programs I realized I was running that I was projecting onto my children. But but the idea in my head was always that freedom to be yourself is the biggest thing. And once you take that away, you like I said, you start to think, where does that path head? And where does the path where we're creating humans that feel free in themselves, confident in themselves, and therefore, to me, because people say, oh, but it's not my belief that human beings will hurt other human beings as a natural thing. That is not natural to do that.
It is not
and I've seen
get personality traits that go, like, you know, like a child will go, oh, does that hurt? You know, but that's like,
but it's
working with your environment.
Belief,
that's not like, you know,
but we have this belief in society now that children can be destructive. They can, if they're left to their own devices, they'll be destructive. And Joe and I have talked about this, but it's like, that is not my belief system. If children are around other adults that are being destructive to each other, and again, I didn't get this perfect, I'm not saying I did, I was sometimes a little bit, but I was sometimes a little bit perhaps destructive towards my husband on days, and my children too.
Oh, I'm perfect. I'm perfect.
No, like I didn't, but it was, you know, understanding though that I did get it wrong, and then, but also, like being with my children around that. But I'm not the perfect person, but as far as I'm learning too. But the belief system was to be myself, to be free in myself, to be joyful, to be creative, to be a powerful human being that was focused on helping other human beings, focused on service to others.
And it's such a natural thing to, pick someone up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think to encourage that the answers are within you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to look outside of yourself for the solutions. And that's where we've gone down a huge research path, doing our own research outside of mainstream media to come up with our own beliefs on what's really going on in the world.
Yeah. And that, that language, and coming back to what you said, like just using the language of good, perfect, bad. What is that? Who's actually marking that? Because I'm marking you well done.
Well, the communists do, actually.
A plus, you got A plus. And you got A plus because you're here. And what a wonderful thing you can bring. And even it doesn't matter what your children ended up doing. I think we feel like it's all on us, the parents. And let's face it, we all know that you get a child, two parents exactly the same, and they get children that are so vastly different, right? So, I've got some stepsons that are more like this one than the actual siblings that are full blood, right?
Yes.
So how does that work? And they've had the same upbringing and an intense upbringing, and yet they are so different. So this is, you get thrown this responsibility that if you do it all yourself, well, let's see how that goes, because you haven't done it before. Yeah. And we have, with millions of people, and we know, we're the education system, so we know what your child needs. And what they're trying to do there is get rid of the idea of self.
Yeah.
An idea of self is pivotal, and again, Tim is just my guru. He has such clarity on this, and I had to learn that clarity because I assumed that as soon as we got here that I was in a free country, therefore I would act freely. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You are even more bound. It's the elephant, tied up. You don't actually move.
Yes, totally.
Because you already. So I had to unlearn a lot of those.
Same with me, because I'd been through the school system. So then trying to think that I could have this more a free way with my own children, I had to kind of unravel all of that inside of myself.
For sure.
So when you came here and there's this expectation of freedom, and you recognise that you're not free,
I think it's more like I saw the freedom, e.g. when we were in the hostel in Chesterfield. That's where we got taken. And by the way, the government was beautiful because they wanted people at that time. So we got a 3-bedroom unit. We had all our food, all our medical, all our language for something like 9 months, all for free. Yeah. Wow. Like just magnificent. Australia, I love you. I really love you. I love you, and I'm here to tell my story because I love you. And I remember walking back from our little unit and going to the mess hall where you ate, right? Never seen cereal before either. That was fun. We put warm milk in with the rice bubbles because you have to have something warm because we're from a cold climate. So first thing you put is a warm thing on your body. But I digress. So then I'm walking on this path and I saw people on the walking on the grass. That's not allowed. I was like, we can walk on the grass? Are we allowed to walk on the grass in Australia? So to me that was freedom. Wow. And people wearing thongs and people dressing the way they wanted to dress. Like it was just phenomenal. It was unbelievable. But it was the mind that was so incredibly entrenched in this slavery. So as you're starting to execute things, you still find that you have so many things that you go, well, you just can't do that. So I meet my husband, so this particular person I'm with 30 years and have 4 kids with, that guy, because I never married him because I had a husband and I never wanted another one. I wanted a boyfriend.
Yeah, you got a boyfriend.
It's so much exciting. It's so exciting. Just to say I got a boyfriend. Anyway, and he just showed me so much because the first time I met him, he was at university because I was at university because of course I was an educated woman and I had the brain, so that's my opportunity. You go to uni, and it was a real opportunity because I remember back there I was going to be blackballed kind of thing, like we weren't going to be, and if we got taken back, my dad would be in prison, and literally there was not very nice for any extended family. So I found him at university, and he was actually running the carpooling, and he was writing his own program, and he's writing his own software, but the guy's never gone to a single class of software class. He's just learning it himself out of a book and making phone calls. And he wrote this most amazing program, and he's a software developer, and down the line, blah, blah, blah. But he taught himself. I was like, I could not comprehend with my brain that is a possibility. I had never seen that as a possibility. You had to go to uni to be able to code. In fact, he would get criticised, like, you know, how can you code? Like, you haven't gone to uni. And he's like, well, I can, because, like, it's running and people are successfully sharing rides at a time where we were, you know, he was bringing the program in at the university so that students could share rides because the parking was so bad. So the carpooling idea, right? He was already there in 1990, 91, and then he needed the software, so he wrote it because he had no money, right?
What a man!
But I had never seen anything like that, and it's just mind-blowing. But that, you know, when you've got that little bit of freedom and you just go, the spark was like, what? And so my famous story about the first time I wrote I was trying to design a flyer because I got kicked out of aerobics because I was too pregnant. Yeah, I know, I was 32 weeks pregnant and then you can't teach anymore. I was like, what? And so I started prognostics, and Tim's like,
So you're learning from him.
I was learning from him. And he just goes, and I'm like, I lounge, right? And I was petrified because I didn't know if I got an A. Because I didn't know he was going to mark it for me. Like, that's a really, that's a horrible moment, isn't it? Like, you're this university student, I can do physics, I can do pure maths, applied maths, and I was really good. But I can't do a flyer? A flyer? A flyer?
But I've had this conversation with Jo too, because Jo's an A grade student.
It's hard, isn't it?
And she doesn't understand, like, if no one's going to mark it, then it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Now I don't know what to do.
We have been robbed years of being able to be creative. Right?
Yeah.
And
she's making up for it now.
Oh no, it doesn't matter, and it can be in a blink of an eye. And again, it's that it doesn't matter how long it took here. Man, you can just accelerate.
Well,
because the momentum's here, huh?
We wrote our course, our Empowered Parent course, and it's pretty funny because it's got mistakes in it.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
I mean, I was okay with that already, of course.
And some spelling mistakes, some grammar errors,
I love that.
Some unfinished sentences.
A while back there, because I, started the book, and then the book was selling, and then I was on one of these magazines, and I was
we'll have to put a link to that under this.
Oh, not now. That was years back in 2013, I think, is when.
That was a book about homeschooling, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2014. Yeah, about how we did it.
I heard you on the radio when I first came
it was because it was really effective, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm sort of doing the answering questions online. It was one of those. Educational, what was it? It was a parenting magazine.
Yeah.
Which one was it? I can't remember. And I'm writing a reply and something nice about homeschooling. So they were trying to introduce homeschooling. It was all things education, all things children, and so they wanted some homeschooling perspective. So I was going to write about that.
Yeah.
And I made a spelling mistake. Right? Ready for this?
Oh yeah, if you're a homeschooler writing about spelling mistakes. That's a different story.
But I got annihilated because I made a spell. It was a teacher.
Yeah.
How can you make a mistake? And I was like, and I really take that. I took it to heart because I when you've been bullied and criticised, like it takes you a long time to go.
Yes.
Like just stand up for yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
And I remember it was that turning point again, and I was like, excuse me, I'm sorry, this is my fourth language. So this is exactly an example of how ridiculous it is that you would actually, it blew up more, and then I got told to maybe just wait a moment. But like literally, and but then the outpouring of other mums that are like, thank you for standing up, because she's been a bit of a bully here on this site for a while.
Yeah,
so,
and then there's Sir Ken Robinson, the famous talk where he has the little child who's willing to make a mistake. Frank sent this. He's the third wise man. And he says, Frank sent this, and everybody laughs their head off and then Ken Robinson says, children are willing to make mistakes, and then we get conditioned out of that beautiful quality by having to get everything right.
And when I sent my kids to school, something that was a sentence that was told to them, I don't know how much they remember it. A lot of things kids won't remember that you said, by the way.
Ah, that's good, isn't it?
But I know this was an ethos. This was an ethos. I was like, there's no stupid question. It was always, there's no stupid question.
No
so when you go to school, always put your hand up, ask the question, because it might be something really simple that you ask, and it will put everything in place because you had that fixed down here in the program, and then it just executes it to its full extent, like a trick, right?
Yeah.
But that exact thing is what, you know, a few of them adhered to, and the other two were a little bit more shy about it. They still couldn't quite.
When I went to school, I only asked questions that I knew the answers to.
That's really smart, actually. That's really brilliant. Well done. A plus. A plus.
So then she could keep getting A pluses.
Yeah.
You just didn't have to risk embarrassment, or you know.
And you know, so many students are at uni that are working out how to pass, not what it's about. It's just how to pass. And then you get to the workforce, and then the real learning starts. So what about those 3 years and that big hex deck? So, I'm not saying there's some things you're gonna need it for, but but most things you don't.
Yeah.
Certainly not business. I'm just, you know, it's really good to learn on the go. And
well, this is what we've done, and this is huge for me to be able to do this with Ilka. When we started, and we started videoing, we would record it, and then I would spend 3 hours editing, making sure that I cut out bits that
and
were a
she'd send me stuff all the time. Is this all right? And I go, yep. I don't think you've ever sent me anything where I haven't gone, it'll be fine. It'll be right. Don't worry. Just put it out there. Just put it out there.
But you know what it is? It's the authenticity we are so sick of. And hasn't that been just the big story? Like, you now put the TV on and you just go, are they robots?
Yes.
That's why I left my $7 Kmart bra on. Sorry guys.
$7, what a deal.
And that's that's why we turn up now, and we go live, we have a discussion, and that's what happened with you today.
Yeah, good.
I never met you before. We chatted for 3 minutes.
Didn't even have a minute. No, I don't think we had a minute. We like a race horse. Wasn't that what I said?
Yeah, you did.
So it's a big discussion.
It is a big discussion, but
and we need to discuss it, and we need to have honest conversations, like this, and with humanity, because something has come between it, and always I have felt something has come between us, whether that be religion first, communism, you know, where there is dictatorships or some sort of a party that is ruling the masses. It's like we're scared to talk to each other because we are told that we will not agree, and you can't work it out between yourselves. And my whole life story is inversion. It's not that way, it's the other way around, and that has certainly been a big lesson this year, and quite
I think
frankly,
that's a beautiful thing that's come out of this year.
It's so many silver linings. You know, like really, like I feel like I've had massive growth. You know, and even
the people that have come out of the woodwork, and it's like, this came out of this. It's just so many people we know now, and we're like, there are people.
Many are people. There are so many are people, because I think there's enough evidence, and when you're looking for proper evidence, and now you're seeing government pull those strings, and you're like, actually, I didn't think they'd go that far. I think that's where you push us more. We're coming. We're the seed. We're the seed, and we're out of the ground, and we're like,
that's it.
We're alive now for a reason, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, it is just a magnificent story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah, but you know, that thing that we chimed in, where we decided we're going to do this, you said something really poignant, and it was about, you know, what do you do in between the time while you're waiting for the shit show to truly come forth, and what we feel like, where we feel like this is heading is, that's where I'm going to be focusing on. Why on earth would I focus on the trees when I want to go between the trees, right? When you're skiing. So where's my path? And
where's my path?
When it's that sovereignty, so we need to right now live and adjust ourselves, because isn't it that water, we're 80% water, and water actually mimics water. So just by standing here, this electromagnetic field, oh my gosh, like think about that for a minute. We're exchanging and that robots can't do that, AI can't do that. This is that beautiful exchange of and we're adjusting, and so the more you adjust your life and your little, I know, part, or what do you call it, your habits and the things that need to be thrown out. Like I've had massive ones, massive trauma things come up where, you know, I had a very traumatic removal of my what do you call them, tonsils. You know, in old country they just held you in a chair.
Wow.
And they did it. There was just a little spray. So I remember this, right?
Okay.
Wow.
It's really horrible. And, you know, I've had those moments of remembering that, and that your body just getting rid of that moment in time, and you're free of it.
Yes.
And I was like, and that speaking then came even more for me.
Yes.
But that was that trauma. So that's that alignment.
Yes.
And living.
And that's what we mostly help parents with, is releasing those traumas. That's
absolutely.
That's what I'm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm here to do.
And that's what we can do with this adjustment of. If we adjust ourselves, and then we gather and we speak our truths. And we might not agree on everything on how this is playing out. Who cares? Who cares? But we had a real conversation. Did anyone else have a real you know?
Yeah.
And you go away thinking, you know, like that's where it starts. And in my son's music, that's how it started. He didn't know how to, you know, properly play guitar, but he was passionate about writing, and so when he got a guitar at 16, which is a perfect unschooled story, never once did I teach them any music because I hated violin.
So I will name your son. I will name drop.
I don't name names.
Can I name drop?
You name drop.
Yeah. So Chilla's son is Ziggy Alberts. We have any young listeners, my daughter. When my daughter heard this, she was like, "Oh, it
was so beautiful. It was so beautiful."
Yes. But he's done really well for himself, and he's got some albums, and he's been touring, and he's really. And
you know, not really help from the industry. I mean, the industry, as in people that we work with, are absolutely behind him, because they see the fact that he's genuine, the fact that he just brings himself, and because he didn't know how to play a guitar, he played it unusually, maybe not elaborately, but the songs were his. He wasn't copying anyone or for years and years practicing. And there's nothing wrong with understanding music or teaching your kids music. Please don't misunderstand. But that originality was even more raw for him, because he just picked up the guitar at 16, where we finished year 12, and he did so well, and he really threw himself in there that we wanted to give him a gift. Because most of the things they had to buy for themselves and work for it, and then we'd contribute because we're such horrible parents. Sometimes it was really hard, people. It was really hard because everybody else was just getting gifts, and it's really tough. Yeah. But we gave him this guitar, and in 3 months he wrote a story, and that's a true story. He wrote 3 songs. He went and performed it, actually at the Soul Bar.
Oh yeah.
And when it first opened up, and I remember him walking out with his 3 songs that I just wrote, that I just picked up a guitar 3 months ago, and I said to my son, Mother of the Year moment, I don't think you're good enough.
Oh no!
Yeah, I said it. I was always.
Thank you for being honest about that.
Yeah.
We've all had those moments.
But I think it was the truth. He never got a life from me. If I didn't think he could do it, but if I said yes, you can do it, and he did it.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wasn't up to me to go, you can do it. You know, like, of course I'd be really positive, but in that instance, I can be quite frank with you, I did not sleep that night. And he came back, and I was awake at 3 a.m. and I was like, because he's only 16, right? Or just turned 17 maybe. No, he was 16. Because he finished a year early, so a couple of the kids finished a year early. I don't know how that happened either, but it happened. You know, 3 of them scored in the top 10 percentile of the entire state without having taught sciences, music.
Wow.
Just maths and English basic, and whatever else they wanted to do for the day, because we had a lot of, you know, surfing and skating to do. It's really hard to fit it into our lifestyle, this school thing. So I just did the basics, and, you know, I always gave them the truth.
Well, look at what the truth can do. The truth is,
and he wanted it, and he did it, and I nearly threw up. He's going to make a fool of himself this time, but he just came back pumped, and then he decided to buy a van, and he went off and did his music, and he did it all himself. And quite frankly, now, like, fast track the story, now pretty much a lot of the family works, and because he had the opportunity to sign some record deals. He didn't go for them. He said, you know what, we've gone this far as a family, because Tim stepped in to help with the accounting, because a lot of them absolutely get either taxed or, you know, just something goes wrong and they lose whatever money they do have, or in hindsight they, you know, do something. So he was on there going, no, that's not going to happen to him. So he stepped in. My daughter, who's just ridiculously amazing, she's having her 3rd baby, so I'm a grandma.
Yes.
So cool. She stepped in and said, look, I think you're getting really good, but she was good at managing. She managed him from the beginning. And so, because, you know, they were only a year apart, so it was just a natural fit, and she stepped into that role, and then the role grew, and we've got 2 of the sons. One became a chef on tour. The other one is also musically inclined. We didn't know. So, but he's more the production side of things, as in, like, you know, tunes all these guitars, and he'll have, like, you know, 5-10 guitars on stage. So he has to get everyone prepped with different things, and he's like the sound, whatever. I don't even know. And then my sisters, my amazing sisters, are also working in there. So it's a family that that worked and loved and grew up together, that are continuing, and that extended family has come into that beautiful fold. And you know, I'm going to say something to those who Brisbane, what's the biggest place in Brisbane? That
Gabba?
No, not the Gabba.
Okay.
Because
there's the indoor kind of.
No, the outdoor one, the Brisbane entertainment. What is it? The Brisbane. Oh, everyone can look it up.
The entertainment centre.
No, the Brisbane. Oh, I can't believe I can't. The garden, whatever. Anyway, he had, like, I don't know, 5,000. I don't know, 10,000. I don't know how many. But anyway, only very big acts go there. So, you know, that was the first one in Brisbane where everybody picked up their own rubbish. The staff there cried because they've never seen that. It was the first plastic free.
Wow.
So go you climate changes. We did that. Yeah. Sorry.
That's where it starts.
Yeah. Because it was really something important. He loved surfing and he didn't want to see plastic. So he said, what is that one thing that I can contribute back?
Yeah.
And so he chose plastic. So then he, you know, he's beautifully woven that in. And when they tour, they wherever possible, they really are pushing the industry to change.
Yeah.
So again, that didn't come out of they learned it in climate change, or they learned it at uni, which can be just as powerful, don't get me wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
But it naturally came that doing good.
Yeah.
It's a natural natural thing.
That's
why
how
wouldn't
we're
you
built.
want to? Aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're built that way.
And we're not built faulty.
No, we're not.
No.
We certainly chop ourselves. It's like make it harder for ourselves. I don't know why, but again, those old programs need to go.
Old programming.
So that's the beautiful love story that continued. And the success, I mean, you know, like, to me, the success is the fact that we sit together and we laugh together and we hang out together, and we'll have some intense moments because we are all intense personalities. Wow. But that accountability, like, you have to sit back down and eat together, right? So, you know, you don't want too much under that table. You need to.
Yeah. That's it.
And that's that speaking together again. And there's no one coming between.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not the AI, it's whatever, like, it's not the computers or the internet now thinking for us. Yeah. Before it was the religion, before that was government, or before that was the kings, you know. Yeah. It's just people to people.
People to people.
Yes. That's why they're scared. They're running scared.
Yes, they are.
So what do you think? I think we're done.
I would, I would just love you to finish with, if we've got people in our group that have listened to this and they're interested, maybe they've got, you know, 3-4-year-olds, and they're interested in continuing that journey of, you know, staying with their children in whatever format that works for them, what would you, like, would you have any encouraging words for them, or
would
something you'd like to say to them?
I think at this point in time, I think if we have learned anything out of history, and it's not the history that you get taught at school, because I think something's wrong with that history. First of all, only the winners write the history, and second of all, something's wrong because they're not recognising the things that we were warned about, right? So I see the communism coming in. I see maybe Nazi, whatever, I don't know, some sort of a takeover, and our freedom's being taken away. But those who have studied freedom in that climate or in that place are not recognising it, so something's wrong. So I think it's time for you to really step up and take your children back. And even if you're putting your children to school, you have to start speaking with them, spending more time with them and telling your opinion. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. I think the strength comes from knowing their parents where possible. You know, and I'm talking to a lot of parents, but it doesn't just have to be homeschooling. But if you've got this little feeling of I just can't let go of my child, oh, absolutely, it will take you to
follow that
it's
feeling.
Magnificent. Like it's I had the best time.
Yes.
I had such a laid back lifestyle. Like
me too.
I was not robbed of my children. I got to be with my children, and it, as intense as it was, sometimes I wouldn't see them all day because we'd all just be doing our own things. And we're not in that pressure cooker of get in the car, go there, get back. And then everyone's living this different life and you have no idea what your children are experiencing. And now, as it seems to me, and I have very good proof, they are telling your children not to talk to the parents now. You know, and that's not...
No.
No, Shaniqua.
No, not that one.
Not okay. Not okay. So sovereign life is choose your path. It doesn't have to be... It can be so beautiful.
Yeah,
and that's that
connection.
Sovereign, that sovereign life that JCK talks about. So what does that look like on the ground? Like how does that look?
Yeah.
That's how it looks. Like I kind of lived that. And I actually put a video together for her, but on the day she went down.
Oh, wow.
Because I just like 10 minutes going, sovereign life, home birthed, pregnastics, left uni, homeschooled. You know, like water birth, like I did I pushed every boundary. I didn't push the vaccine boundary. I delayed and did stuff like that because I didn't have enough concrete. And quite frankly, I was tired because I was always the anomaly, and it's, you know, it gets tiring. But my gosh, I tell you what, wouldn't be doing be doing it today because there is enough evidence now to say something's very, very wrong. And
it's do that. It's look at that evidence.
There is evidence. There's
and look at it.
I think there's
find
evidence. Find it. Look for it. If your gut says no, don't do it.
Yeah.
You'll find a way. You find a way.
Research the opposite of the narrative.
So you know where to look, where they say don't look.
Yes.
So easy now.
I love it. I love it.
No, it's the truth.
Awesome.
Thanks. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I said. I won't remember. But that's okay.
Beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Thanks, guys. And if you listen,
yes. Thank
right
you for
here on the
listening.
Sunshine Coast.